all of your Mosa Mack units that we have so far. We're going to go into the atoms and molecules unit. Click the green arrow, and it will take you to lesson 1, animation, but we already completed all of the animation. Today we are going to work on the live video. So today we're going to go through steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. Step 1 is a video of mystery substance A. Step 2 is a video of mystery substance B. Step 3 is reflection questions for each of those videos. And step 4 is going to be where you're going to take a guess on what each of those mystery substances are. So first, let's take a look at what your episode questions look like. So here we have your episode questions, and we're going to take a look at the questions before we watch the video. So essentially, we are going to be watching 2 mystery substances being dropped into water, and then we're going to see how that water and the substance react to each other. So the questions that we're going to look at are: watch the video. As you watch, write down observations that you see and any questions that you have. So here's some supplemental questions to get you started. What do you observe happening with the water in each trial? What questions do you have about the experiment? And what questions do you have about the substance? And your second question is, why do you think these substances are behaving so differently? So in other words, what do you think the difference between each of the substances is? So now we're going to watch Mystery Substance A, and we're going to keep these 2 questions in mind. Okay, now that we watched Mystery Substance A, now we're going to watch Mystery Substance B. And remember, keeping these 2 questions in mind. So now that we watched each of those videos, we're ready to answer the episode questions. So take a look, answer the first question, write down any observations that you see and any questions that you have. You may use the sentence frames. With substance A, the water, blank. With substance B, the water, blank. And I am wondering, blank. For question 2, why do you think these substances are behaving so differently? You may use the sentence frame. I think the substances are behaving differently because blank. Now that you're done making your observations and asking your questions, it's time to take a guess as to what each of the substances are. But before that, you need to have a little bit more information about what the substance could possibly be. So to do that, you're going to use the interactive periodic table of elements. So that's linked in step 4. And what you're going to do is you're going to read through all of the available elements and try to figure out which one is substance A and which one is substance B. So as you click through each of the elements, a card will pop up and it'll tell you a little bit more about what each element is and how it reacts to certain things. Once you have an idea more or less of what element you think is each substance, then you can move on to step 2, which is atom identification. So in the table, you're going to guess on what you think each substance is. After you take your guess, always, you got to provide a reasoning. So support your guess with evidence on why you think the substance you identified is correct. So you're going to use the information that you gathered from the interactive periodic table to help support your reasoning. And now we can move on to step 4. So you made your observations. Now it's time to actually guess, what are these substances? So to do that, you are going to use this interactive periodic table of elements. So this table of elements, there are a few elements that if you click on them, it gives you a little bit more information about them. So your job right now is to go through all of these elements that are highlighted and observe to see what are these elements and what are the properties that they have. And you're going to take a guess on two of these elements. One of these elements is substance A, which was very reactive, and one of these elements was substance B, was not so reactive. Once you take your guess, you're going to come back to your table and you're going to use this table to identify each of the substances. So you are going to write each of the substance names under atom identification. And then you're going to tell me your reasoning. So your reasoning is going to come from all of the information that is on these cards. So what information on these cards is leading you to believe that the substance is substance A or that the substance is substance B? So give me a little bit of evidence from each of those cards, and that will be your reasoning. So first, how to read the interactive table cards. So whenever you click on any of the elements, I have carbon here as an example. The first thing you're going to notice is the atom structure. So that's this right here. That is the atom structure. We have our protons and neutrons in the center, and the electrons are on the shell, orbiting around the nucleus. So you want to observe the electrons. You want to observe how many are on each of the outer layers. Next is the state of matter. That is identifying whether the element is a solid, a liquid, or a gas. So here we have carbon and it is a solid. Next, you have physical properties. So in the physical properties, that is basically a little bit about what the element looks like in its physical form. Next is the chemical properties, and this is going to be the biggest identifier for helping you guess the substance. So the chemical properties is telling you how does it react with other atoms. So in the chemical properties, it gives you a little bit more about how it reacts when it comes into contact with other things. And the last bit of information is the real-world application and uses. So this gives you a little bit more about what the element is commonly used for. Now that you have explored the interactive periodic table, it's time to take your guess. So go back to that table in step 4, and the first thing you want to do is atom identification. So make your guess on what you think each substance is. Once you're done making your guess, you want to support your guess with a reasoning. So support your guess with evidence on why you believe it is the substance you identified. And you can use any of the information provided in the interactive periodic table. Once you're done with each of those, you are ready to submit, and you finish today's lesson.